The psalmist writes, "This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it." Welcome to worship at St. John's UCC on Madeline Island. It's so great to be with so many of you in body. Welcome back to many of our seasonal residents. So wonderful to have you. Welcome to all of you who are joining us online, and a very warm, heartfelt welcome to our guests today, Midge and Frank Montano. We're so blessed and honored to have you, and we will say a more formal welcome to you in a minute. I also want to say a welcome to Marina Lechecki, who really needs no welcome into this space. So great. Always such a blessing to have you here. And the pilgrims from the 2017, is that when y'all went? 2017 trip to Iona. 2019, I was here then, so I think you guys went before I came. The 2017 trip to Iona, the pilgrims will be singing as a benediction, and you'll hear more about that and hear more from them as well. So today is going to be an amazing service. I'm so grateful for you all to be here. And whoever you are, wherever you are on your journey of life and spirit, as always, you are so very welcome here. And I pray that the spirit of love and life finds you exactly where you are today and opens your heart to that spirit of love and life and joy and flourishing that is here with us and in us all. A few announcements. Today, we have wonderful fellowship refreshments downstairs prepared by Joan Foster, who just walked in the door. Thank you, Joan, for setting that up for us. There are also leftover treats from the Madeline Island Marathon. Did anybody run in the marathon? Or more probably importantly, any of you who volunteered, yes, for sure, who helped yesterday, a hearty thank you to those who helped make the marathon such a success. I heard from the organizers last night two things. One, they wanted to say thank you to all of you who helped make that such a welcoming, safe time for our runners. And also, there's so much leftover food. So copious amounts of bananas. So please, as your parting gift from being here today, please take a bunch of bananas with you. And there's some water, and there's leftover cake and some donut holes downstairs. So I hope that all of you will stay and have time together in community after worship today. I'm passing around our sign-up sheet to help with refreshments and ushering in future weeks. So if you'd like to help us create the worship container, we'd be so grateful. A few other pieces of news. The long-awaited book launch for Penny Gill's book, Radiant Heart of the Cosmos, is today at 2 p.m., yep. And there's been a little, as always, some technical challenges. So I thought I would, for those of you who were planning on joining in that or interested in that, I put the Zoom link in your worship bulletin, so you can find that direct link there. And it's at 2 o'clock today, and it will be recorded. So if you miss it, you'll be able to watch it afterwards. So many blessings, Penny, to you for all that work and out in the world. A few other announcements. Mary Bissell asked me to let everyone know that the Graveside service for Ted Bissell, who passed away earlier this year, will be on Saturday, June 4th at 1 p.m., and everyone is welcome to join the family for the Graveside service. I think those are my announcements for today. I'm looking to see if I've forgotten anything. Yeah. So I invite you, thank you. Now I invite you to bring your attention to our memorial candle, which of course is lit today in memory and deep love for Nick Brown, who passed away earlier this week. And we hold Sheri in our hearts and all of Nick's community, so touched so many people, so deeply missed. So if we take a moment to hold grieving community in our heart, send our love to Sheri. And I also invite you to bring to mind and to heart the other places in your life, in the world, that you are carrying with you into worship today. Places of grief, concern, places of joy, the fullness of life. And as we often do, I invite you to put down what you might have in your hands. Rest your feet on the floor. May close your eyes or bring your eyes to a soft gaze. And simply breathe. As you hold your concerns and your joys for yourself, your beloveds, the world, in your heart, I invite you to continue to breathe in from the deepest heart of the earth, heart of God, heart of compassion, allowing that love and that compassion to fill your heart, helping it grow even more open, allowing us to be fully present in this time, in this space. Welcome to worship. I'm going to invite Regina LaRoche to join me as we welcome our special guests today.
Good morning, and it's so good to see you all in person and so many of you here. And I want to start by sharing a little bit of the journey that Frank and Midge have traveled with us to get them here today. Originally, a little over 2.5 years ago, when there was a community life and spirit program here at the church, we were putting together a Martin Luther King Honoring Justice Makers Sunday. And I don't know, for those, it might not be etched in your memory in the same way, but there was a blast of a blizzard for a couple days there. And so Midge and Frank didn't come over. I'm not even sure if we opened the doors that day. And so then shortly thereafter, we said, okay, let's try again. And then Midge had an accident, and we're so grateful because full recovery, and she's here with us today, so they didn't come then. And then, believe it or not, COVID hit. And so they didn't come then. And then we thought, okay, we've opened the church doors, we can gather again. Let's do this winter. And then the ice road quit. We're like, what is this, you know? And so now they're here, May, and we're so glad. And I'm going to ask you all to give a round of applause. And Frank and Midge have been on an extraordinary journey well before we tried to get them here back 2.5 years ago, and they will be sharing pieces of that with you. And as you may see in your bulletin and different places, they are core healers, artists, holders, spirit people in their community, in their family, and in our world. And so we are just so blessed to have you both here, and I'm blessed that I've been able to walk and have my journey move with yours over these last several years. And I'm also blessed that you keep an eye on my son, who's hanging out a lot with your grandson. So that's a little gift to me also. We do have, just to acknowledge, Midge, you were describing yourself a couple years ago as being someone who is a healer in community and family and carrying a basket of wellness that you offer to people. And as I reflected on both of you, I was like, you carry that basket of wellness, that basket of love, that basket of healing. So we do have a little basket for you that we'll be putting on your pew, and you all can, there's even something for your granddaughter who you're celebrating turning 4 today. So, but don't let her get on the basket first. And, but one of the things I want to do is just share welcome, and one of, in my heritage, the people I come from were aided and helped by people that were the first people of this land. And I love that there's some very similar ways of moving. So I'm going to offer a thanksgiving to you from that heritage, but also you all aren't off the hook out there. I'm going to sing a thank you to them, and then I'm going to ask you to join me, and we'll sing it to them all together. And I'll just tell you the words. It's really easy. 5 times you say, we give thanks, 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 and then it changes for you with us. And we give thanks, we give thanks, we give thanks, we give thanks, we give thanks for you with us. Please join me. We give thanks, we give thanks, we give thanks, we give thanks, we give thanks for you with us. And it's all you all.
Bonjour. It's always, a little difficult in the beginning to speak. Years back, to give you an idea, I was born up here in the woods in 1941. And no electricity, no running water, none of that stuff back there in this little shack. And the stone foundation is still back in the woods, all growed up there on the reservation. My mother from the Red Cliff Reservation and my father left Mexico when Pancho Villa was coming into power. And his mother, he lives with his grandma and his grandpa down there, he told us. And his grandma said, if you don't want to fight, you have to leave. So he went and swam across the border. But I was told in 1941, when I was born, shortly after one of the world wars started, and my father, who was a naturalized citizen then, wanted to go over and be a part of the war. But at the time, there was probably about 6 or 7 of us already. And the people there kept telling him, go home and take care of your family. Because they did with the big families way back then. But my mother met him in Milwaukee. She had been married once before, and her first husband, they had one child, my oldest sister. And her husband had some type of cancer, and he passed away, and her mother was living in Milwaukee. And her mother told her to come down there. And she went down there, and her mother said, well, there's a mariachi band playing at the Milwaukee Auditorium. And the rest is history. That's where she met my dad from central Mexico. He was a mariachi musician. Brought him up here in the woods. And I think he was used to that kind of life down in Mexico, because he made some instruments, made violins and guitars and stuff out in the woods. But way back then up here, everybody knows that it was hard to maintain a family up here. Cutting pulp and things like that were the things that they had to do, and ended up in went in Minnesota when I was small, and working in an open pit mine, and all those different types of things. And people say, well, wasn't it hard as this little boy here being half Indian and half Mexican? I said, as a little boy, we didn't know what we were. None of us did, right? We were just people, weren't you? How did it feel to be poor when you were small? Were we poor? We didn't know what that word meant, right? It was like you had food, you had a place to go inside of it, and you had, family around you and everything. I don't think there was that idea of people being in different categories. But when I became a musician, my father taught me all these different instruments, and I started playing, and I was in Milwaukee. I was playing in a country rock band. And nobody wanted to speak up in front. The only reason I'm telling this story is because this is where this comes from. I was the lead guitar player, and I stood up there and I rolled my big amplifier down the streets at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I was already married. We were already married then. We got married young. Because in the old days, there was... And at that time, we were Catholic, which changed quite a bit over the years. But, and they, of course, encouraged, get married young. I was 20, she was 17. That's 61 years ago. And we're still tolerating it. And we still tolerate each other in the middle of our battles and our fights. It's not, life is not all sweet and wonderful no matter what you do. But I now am the oldest in my family out of 13. And I have, out of 13, only 2 brothers and a sister younger than me. So when people pass away, and you don't think about it at the time, and then all of a sudden it's like a slap in the face. Well, you're the oldest now. At 81 years old. Still playing music, still looking in the mirror and seeing a young boy. It is that way with us. Somebody said, "You're acting like a little kid." I said, I earned it, right? I lived it, right? And it says, "Well, Jesus, we got you scheduled to talk for half an hour. Is that too much?" I said, "Too much? I got 81 years to talk about," right? And sometimes as we get older, we realize and we wish that we could share every experience and what it did for us through our life. If it was something that was bad, we wish we could share it with the young ones, It's like some of the people say, "Well, if you weren't an alcoholic, you don't know how it feels." I said, you look at a fire, you don't have to stick your hand in it to know how it feels, right? It's going to burn you. So everything in life is kind of like that. And me and my wife on the way over said, "Who's on first?" And we also talked about the time how long it's been since we were supposed to do this. And I don't even remember that. Everything she mentioned, I don't remember. Because it was crazy, Everything happened. And then my wife came on the way over this morning, says, "I was going to read poetry, but I couldn't find my poetry book." But I think a lot of those things are in her head, just like a lot of the things are in my head. But sometimes I can't remember some of the words. But if you never heard the song before, you don't know, right? I had a friend that stopped in the middle of a song a lot of times because he forgot the words. I said, "Don't stop. Because nobody knows except you, right? When you make a mistake, do you stop? Or do you keep going and say, 'Oh, darn it, I made a mistake'?" One of my friends said, "Whatever you do when you stumble and you fall, don't say what's next." Because we all do that, right? You have a bad day, you bump your arm and say, darn it, what's next? And he said, like in the old Greek stories and the movies and stuff, those gods are up there looking down in this pool at you. He says, if you say what next, they say, oh, let's give him another trial. He'll fall and break his other foot, right? So I'm going to ask my wife to come up here before her time runs out. I'm using her time, you know. So this is my wife, Midge, here, and we've been together for a long time. We fight a lot. It's really cool. It is. I told people a long time ago, Chubby Checker stole my moves. He did. Because when we lived in the woods back there, my dad put in a wash machine down by the creek in a little shack, gas-powered motor on it, with a pipe sticking out the top, and we're a quarter mile away at the mission school, and we could hear that motor when it was washing day. So we'd race as kids to see who could get there first, because the shed wasn't big enough for more than 1 or 2 kids. So when you got in there, you watched that agitator in that brand new machine that you'd never seen before, and it goes like this. And then we'd stand there and do that, you know. And then this Chubby Checker comes along and says, come on, baby. And I said, he stole our moves. And you know what someone told me? Perhaps he had that same experience. So this is my wife, Midge. She's going to come up and I can't tell her what to do. You know. Come on up here, dear.
Bonjour. Najinda Kaz, Miskwa, Anakwad, Ikew, Dodam as the Miskwa. I said to you, hello, my name is Red Cloud Woman, and my clan is the Bear Clan. I'm honored to be here today. Yeah, Frank and I had talked on the way over, like, who's going on first, who's whatever, and so this is all flowing together really good. I walking up here, I saw this pencil laying here. And as I was sitting there, I was thinking, well, I could write a few things down. You know, I told Regina, it's like, yeah, I forgot my poetry book, but I also couldn't find it this morning. And I'm a very organized person that I know where everything is, you know. My one granddaughter, my oldest granddaughter, always says, Grandma, that's what you should be doing, helping people organize. You know, it's like, well, okay. I'm not a big technology guru. I don't plan on being that. It's interesting how Frank says that I don't know if he said if we fight or we argue. I think he said we fight. It's like we have communication disagreements. Yeah. And I am the type of person that I have many facial expressions. And so it's like, you know, my family will say, why are you looking like that? You know, but I always try to tell them, don't read my expressions. Even at work, I mean, I try to like not to do that, you know, but it's just there. But it's interesting. I love traveling. I haven't done much the last couple of years. And I love driving my car. And I was sharing with Regina that I had a 2014 Chevy Spark, and it was jalapeno green. And the transmission dropped out on it. And so I had to bite the bullet and buy another car and start in with car payments again. And my son Matthew, he said, we should just have someone donate you a car, Mom. I said, that would be cool. But, you know, I think there's so many things I just want to share with you is that it's like wow, like Frank said, the stories, you know. I think, too, that when Regina spoke of us watching out for her son, he lives with my, two of my grandsons. So I always sort of watch for him when I'm driving about in Redcliffe that, we're going to do a wave. We're going to do a wave. And he knows that he can count on me, but he's never said, Midge, I need you for this. But, we all need people in one another. I think a while ago, several years ago, Frank and I were talking, and I said, we were talking about the gifts that the Creator has given you. And I said, I don't know what my gift is. I have no idea what it is. I don't look at, I visualize things, but I don't from my mind to put it let's say, drawing arts and things like that. And I don't sing. People think I sing a lot because my husband being a musician, but I don't. But I don't think we recognize our gifts sometimes. That's what, I told Frank I didn't know what my gift was. And he says, Midge, it's right out there. Yours is to communicate with people. We've been to countries that, no way did we speak their language. And somehow I was able to get across to them what we needed. And we think that we're maybe not making a link with people or an impression with people, but we are. I remember Mexico. I love going to Mexico. It's so awesome. It's just so warm. I went to the market, the Marquito there, and who would think? I went one year, and the next year when I went back to the same spot, and I remembered her, but she remembered me out of all the people she sees. And, we never know who we're going to touch. And I was gifted to go to Nicaragua, and it was I don't know what I have to offer, and because these were psychologists, therapists, all these intellectual people. So I thought, well, I also do hands-on with Reiki Healing, and so I thought, well, I'll do Reiki. I was shocked. My sessions were overwhelming with people waiting for that energy level into the focus. And that one day that I was going through that, I thought, I wonder if the Creator ever got tired or gets tired. And finally, the person who organized it, she came to my session and she said, Midge, we're going to have you be done for the day. And the bus took me back to my room, and it was, three of us shared a room, and was nothing fancy, but it was fine with me. And I fell asleep. And the other two ladies, when they got back, they says, Midge, there's people waiting in the lobby waiting to see you. I was like, what? I could not believe that. Also, what happened on that trip to Nicaragua, it was, they took us up to the mountains, and it was just awesome. I mean, I could smell the medicines up there and everything. And just the connect. And I remember our meals, they were trying to fix us meals what they think we would like. And finally, I just said to the people who were servicing, I says, don't you eat tortillas here? And they says, yeah. And I says, why are we eating this Wonder Bread? And the man said, well, we thought that's what you like to eat, so we gave you Wonder Bread. And I said, well, if the rest want to eat Wonder Bread, they may, but I would like some tortillas. So they brought them to me, and anyway, it's quite interesting because we were there, I think, 2 weeks. And I was going to rinse my clothes out and hang them on their line. And this man said to me, no, I do that for you. I said, no, I don't. He said, no. So he took my laundry and he washed it and he hung it on the line there. But I remember this one elder lady came up to me. I sort of believe in reincarnation. And she said, Midge, Inez, my real name's Inez. She said, Inez, we're so glad you came back to us, that you came home. So who knows? Where we've really traveled to. My mom's hair was always like coarse, and she would try to get a perm, and her hair would come out like a Brillo pad. And recently, my daughter, she's like always into research and stuff like that, and your generation history and that. And there it was. I guess that there's African American in our family. That's wonderful. And so we're a mixture of different races and that, but inside we all have hearts. We all have some of the same organs, if you're blessed with all your organs. I was thinking too, I saw this banner on the wall over here. It says, "Through love be servants of one another." And that's what it's all about, is helping each other. And even though Frank and I have been married, we're not quite there yet. But it'll be 61 years. And sometimes we get our moments like, you really want to, I don't know if he does, but I sort of think of things under my breath, and sometimes maybe I say them. But times are hard right now, and they're really stressful. And I was thinking of the word love. That's what it's all about, and so when you think of love, L is for listen, O is for observe, V is for venture, and E is for enjoy. So if we think of those things, I was just thinking there's so many things I would want to share with you. It's like Frank said, the stories. January 2020, I had ice come down on my neck, and my neck got broke. And I understand it's a miracle I'm here, because it cut into the C2, and that controls everything you do. All your vital signs, you're walking, you're talking, you're eating. I understand I was a hair away from being a vegetable or not here. And my community helped, and other people helped, and I didn't realize that people cared about me that much. Gina just gave me the high sign, so I hope to come back and visit, and anytime you want me to come back or check in with me, Regina knows how to get a hold of me. And just remember, keep it simple. I have to always work on myself, because I love shoes, purses, and jewelry. I like money too. But, so I really haven't been buying, more jewelry or more purses or, shoes, jewelry. So now Frank's been buying me purses, in case he forgot, But just take care of yourselves and share with what you have with others in a good way. One more thing, like I said, I'm going to ceremony at the mid-June, and I'm trying not to let my mind worry financially how I'm going to swing all of it, but the Creator will get me there, and I'll get through it. But miigwech for today, thank you, and it's good to be over here. Brought my tissue in case I start coughing or whatever, but so here's the pencil. How about that one? Thank you.
what to say after that. I suppose I'm just going to have to go into what I remember when I was, I think I started that before. I remember when in the band, and nobody wanted to speak in front of people because it's difficult in the beginning of speaking in front of a group of people. You know, I think it comes even when you're in school, you know, and they call it peer pressure. But I think a long time ago, my left eye was crossed when I was 4 years old. And so I spent most of my younger years not having any real close friends because nobody wanted to hang around with a freak, right? And I was named Francis. And then in a certain time, I don't remember what year it was, they came out with a movie, Francis the Talking Mule. So I was Francis the Talking Mule, this freak and half Mexican, half Native American, trying to live in a native groups, and a lot of the young kids said I wasn't native. I was this greaser, this Mexican. Go to the cities, and it was the same way there. I was this Indian, get out of here. And so I didn't really talk a whole lot, you know, in those days. And then when I was 18 years old, I was standing in Marquette University for something in Milwaukee. And this nun comes walking by, and she stops and looks at me, and my eye is still crossed, you know. And she said, "How long has that been like that?" I said, "Since I was 4 years old. I had whooping cough." And she gave me a card with a number on it and a name, and she said, "Tell your ma to call this man here. He's a specialist." So she called him, and they set it up, and they did a surgery on both of my eyes then. And of course, they described it. They took them out and laid them on a plate, and they cut the muscles off of them. And in those days, it was different than now. They cut them, and they stretched them, and they folded one over, and they had to do both so they would stay out like this. And then I was wrapped around my face here. I was blind for about 2.5 weeks. And so the people in the hospital had to take care of me, and I learned something from that. I learned that sometimes our eyes give us a lot of problems in our life, because when we're in a room and we look around, we pick out the people we think are going to be comfortable to talk to and to get to know, and other ones we think, oh, they're going to be trouble. I want to stay away from that one. And we judge people by looking at them with our eyes. And I was sitting and thinking about that, and I could see this woman that took care of me, this young woman. She would bring the crushed ice in the water to me, and I was in that hospital blind. And all I knew was she didn't tell what her name was. I just called her Crushed Ice. And in my mind, because I couldn't see with my eyes, I pictured this woman, how beautiful she was and stuff. And when they took the bandages off, I ran into the bathroom, first of all, and I looked in the mirror to see this new me. And because of 18 years being like that, I still had that crossed eye. I couldn't get that out of my mind. It took me almost 2 years to get rid of that idea that was straight now. This eye was straight. And we came up north, and I started working up, doing electrical work, and I would call the power company in Ashland every day, or every time I had a service to hook up. And this lady on the other end, she would say, "Well, good morning, Mr. Montano, and how are you on this beautiful day?" Whether it was raining or whatever it was. She did that all the time. And her, too, I pictured her in my mind because I had never met her in a certain way, because we're conditioned through society here to look at beauty in the physical form. And it was like 2 years, 3 years later, they sent us a notice, the power company. All electricians have to come over here for a training, a meeting about the new rules and regulations. So I went to Ashland and the power company, and I'm standing in this narrow hallway waiting for the meeting. And I had my tag on, Mr. Montano, Frank Montano. And this great big heavy-set lady comes walking down the hallway. I moved to the sides to let her through this narrow hallway. And as she's going by, she looks at my name tag and she says, "Well, good morning, Mr. Montano, and how are you on this beautiful day?" And it was like somebody slapped me in the face at first, you know. That's not the person that I saw in my mind. And I went home and I thought about that for a while, and I was reading a magazine and it said, "Submit your poetry. If you have any poetry, submit it to this contest." So I sat down and I wrote this poem, a short poem, and it sums up that whole thing. And I won this Silver Poet Award for that poem. And this is what it says: "Listen not with your eyes when you hear what I say. Don't you know that my spirit is speaking this way? Close your eyes when you listen, and soon you will see. There's not so much difference between you and me. Though our bodies are different, and each one unique, listen not with your eyes to the words that I speak. Listen not with your eyes when you hear what I say. Don't you know that my spirit is speaking this way?" And that taught me a lot in that time. And that's what's happening. That's what happens all the time, you know. So I better do some music, or people are going to say, "Why did you bring all that junk you didn't even play?" I'm going to try and start out. It's that time of the year when spring comes and you hear the rain. There's nothing more beautiful than listening to rain and listening to different sounds out there. If you spend that time out there listening, and you spend time out in the woods, you hear all these different sounds. So I'm going to try and, artificially duplicate, because as this old person, took me a long time to get into this electronic stuff. So if I mess up, you ain't going to know it, right? Thank you. Thank you. I have a notice here that time is running out. And in a lot of the places I go, it's always at the point of the end of the story. And years ago, I was traveling up into a remote village in Canada where one of the people there befriended me, a medicine man, and we visited a lot. And as I was traveling up there, this song came to me with the hand drum. And I sang it to this elder man up there, and you know what he said? That's a good song. He said, sing that song for people with your hand drum. It's an honor song. And he said that when you sing it, ask the people to stand up. Because what you're doing is saying to them, thank you for listening to me. Thank you for hearing something of what I said. And maybe you learned something from it, from each of us, because we can learn from each other. And I have some sad news for everyone. Everything on the earth that exists is all a part of the circle. We're not above or below, each of us. We're all a part of it. So this is an honor song for you. If you would stand, we'll sing this part of the song. And also those people out there in this virtual world. Thank you.
Miigwech, Midge, and Frank. I just want to take in all that love and energy and beauty. Thank you. And I invite Marina and the pilgrims up for our benediction.
As the pilgrims gather here, I have deep gratitude to Frank for helping the earth sing, because that's what we felt. You heard the earth sing, and we who live here hear the earth sing. And this little pilgrims gathering is because we heard the songs of the people here. When we live on this land, we hear that ancient song coming up through the soil. And we need to acknowledge that. And when I was on a journey to listen, I traveled with an elder along the migration journey. And we were just told to put out our tobacco every day and pay attention, listen. It was scary. I'm not used to doing that. I'm used to planning. And when I came back from that, what came up through my soul is we need to, from this island, this holy island, we need to travel to where our ancestors came in the European continent and listen to other ground, other water, other birds, other flowers, other trees, to hear that that call is the same. It is from the earth coming up to us. And in this time of struggle that we have now, the song of the land and the water. This song is from the Celtic tradition, but it is a song we as pilgrims sang every night when we came from walking on the earth and listening to the waters and breathing the air of this ancient land too. We sang this song to pull us in, to let go to the night.
Go in peace, friends, and I hope you'll join us downstairs for community time. with blessings. Amen.